Welcome to the Forward Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Shepard.
And I'm your co-host, Carrie, and we're so happy to be with you.
We're coming back once again talking about a subject, keeping love alive.
In your marriage.
Do you hear how low my voice is?
You are really low tonight.
I'm liking this.
What
keeping
happened?
the love alive.
Did you go through another puberty? And
Okay.
your voice went down.
Wow.
That's what happens when you...
Yes, I know what happens. Oh, my word.
Well, what other
That is
explanation
highly
would
inappropriate
there be?
and somewhat offensive. Thank you. So, no, and I'm debating on whether we should start this over.
We can if you want.
It's too late now. Everybody's laughing already, thinking, "What kind of podcast is
Oh
this?"
my goodness.
So,
I do like your voice low like that.
yeah,
I'm
I've
not-
been
Oh, is it because you've been preaching
a
so
lot of
much?
preaching lately. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of talking, and yeah, I guess that's probably just about it.
That's a better
So,
reason.
Yeah. Actually, your voice sounds a little bit raspy too.
I have a cold.
Do you?
I do. I have a cold. That's probably why I said that, because I have a little bit of medicine in me.
Oh,
Now he really wants to
Yes.
start it over.
let's do this tomorrow night. How about that? Let's not
If
do
I
this
have a little
tonight.
cough here and there, forgive me.
Yes, everybody. It's okay. Yeah, there you go.
I
Lean
shouldn't
away
have
from
said
it. Yeah, now
my-
you're going to be
okay,
coughing.
Let me take a drink.
You have a drink. Yeah, okay. Anyways, welcome to this episode of Keeping Love Alive. This is part 2. And tonight we'd really like to get into kind of a new subject, but I think it's going to be really good, very, very helpful for all of our marriages, and or if you're listening to this and you're not married, it's quite all right. These are some great tips, even as you look into the future getting married, or a relationship that you're about to jump into. I think these things will always help. And you have to know, first off, Carrie and I have said it so many times on this podcast, that we are Christians. We do believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And so what we call it is a Bible salvation. We've placed our faith and trust in Jesus to save us of our sins. And so we are Christ followers. And in that, we truly believe from the Word of God that there is an enemy, and our enemy is called Satan. And Satan is always after our homes, and he is especially after our marriages. We realize this, we know this. So some of these things tonight, although we have quite a few people that listen that are not Christians, and that's okay. These are still ways that you can protect your home, and some simple ideas of, I want to keep my marriage fresh. I want to keep my marriage alive. And that's our goal, is just to encourage you in some very, I don't want to use the word practical, some
Practical ways.
simple ways.
Yeah.
Just some good advice of things that we have seen in our own marriage, and then helping others as well. And so here's several ways that we feel like sometimes our homes are infiltrated, and these will greatly enhance. I know I'm trying to put my words together here. You're laughing. Go ahead, finish it for me. This will enhance your chance, or your... This will help your marriages last a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get in the first one here. First of all, we got to be very careful of our attitudes. Our attitudes. So, Kara, why don't you lean into that for a little bit?
Yeah. And this can apply. We obviously want this to be specific to marriage, just because we want to be a help. But also, I remember your mom recommended a marriage book when we were just dating. And I thought, well, I probably
My
won't
mom?
even. Yeah, she did.
Really? What
Yeah.
was it?
She probably was like, "Oh, honey,
Here's the
you're
Bible.
gonna need some help." But she
That's cool.
did,
I
and
didn't know that.
and I read that, and even while we were dating, it helped me to understand you a little more, and to kind of go into our marriage already thinking about, being thoughtful of your partner, and just the basic things. It was just common basic things. But growing up as Christians, we didn't have like tons of dating relationships. I mean,
right.
For Christians, we did in Bible college. You know how that goes. But So going into a marriage, I felt a little inexperienced, and so it was really helpful. So even if you're dating or engaged, it's good to start thinking about these too. But starting off, attitude in any family relationship, just having that positive attitude and gratefulness. I think that's something I've really learned from you is that
That's
you
good.
are a very grateful person, even for small things like around the house. I'll do something and it's just normal stuff that we have to do all the time. But you are very grateful for that. And you'll
Mm.
say, hey, thanks for organizing that drawer for me. Or, man, thanks for having the dishes done when I got home. That's awesome. Like you are just very grateful for small
Do you think
things.
that makes you feel good?
Oh,
How
my
does that make
word.
you feel?
It's really surprising how much someone being grateful for small things does affect you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you don't think it would, but just having someone acknowledge the things that you do on a daily basis, it really is that attitude is so helpful in a relationship. And it is specific to marriage in this podcast, but I mean, you can do that if you're an adult and you live
Mhm.
with your parents, just showing that gratitude to them and saying, "Hey mom, thanks for, doing this or that," or "Hey dad, thanks for, taking care running my car through the car wash." Just small items of gratefulness really change the attitude in your relationship. And I have learned that from you.
Yeah.
Like that small, I've always been grateful and shown thankfulness, at growing up in bigger things. But I don't think I had that yet when we got married. I didn't
Mm.
have that habit of thanks for doing the little things and recognizing the daily things.
That's good. That's
Hmm.
good. I will tell you, Care, on the male side of things, men love to be thanked. We
Yeah,
really do. We need that
sure.
affirmation. We love it. Like when you compliment me or thank me for something, it is so funny how far it goes. And in a relationship, why are you
I have a
laughing?
question when you're done with your thought. I have a question for
Oh,
you.
great. Now let me think about your question. It really does go a long way.
Oops.
And just the thankfulness from a woman to a man, the
Hmm.
complimentary attitude for a guy, it's what we love, it's what we want, it's what we desire.
Yeah.
I've said this several times when we have been out at a marriage conference teaching, and I often say 200 people can walk through the line on a Sunday morning and say, "Man, Pastor, great message." I always say, "Praise the Lord," and "Hey, great, man. This is just a lot of compliments." But those 200 people do not even compare to when Carrie, you, my wife, says, "Great message," or "Wow," compliments me in any way. It's always in my mind number one.
My one
And
compliment is better than 200.
when you give it to me once a year, it's the best day of my life.
Oh my, what power. But excuse me, that is actually interesting to note the power that your spouse's words have.
Mhm.
Like that's amazing. That's amazing that, and when a woman considers that, you have the power to encourage them, your one comment means more than an entire church. Um, think of the opposite. So a
Mhm.
criticism would hurt that much
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
doesn't it?
That's amazing.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it
people
does.
can say, coming from a spouse, someone can say all the time something that is hurtful, something that is mean. You might be listening to this and you get it from a boss or from a coworker. But when it comes from your spouse,
Yeah,
there's just something about it. It feels like that knife is a lot deeper.
right.
It hurts so much more. And yeah, that is so true.
It's
It's
amazing the
funny how
power words hold.
it really does.
It really does.
It's funny when we talk about attitudes, it's something that we often get on to our kids. I remember being a kid growing up and my mom constantly, "Hey, check your attitude. Hey, got you to check your attitude."
Oh, I
Did your
got
mom ever
that
say that?
so much.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like the eye roller. I did like the head, the head
Oh, we would
tilt and like
have.
the eye roll and stomp up the stairs. I was.
Oh.
Oh, my dad, get down these stairs. You walk up those stairs again the right way. Oh, I
Yeah.
bet probably so many
We
times.
feared our mom
We did.
when it came to that for sure. But it's funny how even with our kids now, we are constantly telling them, "Hey, you need to check up your attitude, watch your attitude."
Yeah.
And then for some reason, when we get older, we lose that touch of, well, I can have any attitude I want with the person that I'm married to. And
Yeah.
I think that for sure we need to be very, very careful in uh, having these added heart checkup of making sure that we are not having a critical spirit towards the person that we said I do to.
Yeah.
Because once we get critical, it is hard to reverse that. And
Hmm.
there are some marriages, they live in a critical mode all the time.
Yeah.
It's their attitude towards their spouse seems to be never positive. It might be on Valentine's Day, an anniversary, but that's about it. And so if we're not careful, if your attitude gets sour and you keep it there for a while, it
Hmm.
really is a great foundation for Satan to build upon, because then it's always negative. My
Hmm.
my wife can never do anything right. My husband can never do anything right. They're this, they don't live up once again to this expectation that we are holding them to, and it
Hmm.
can get really, really bad fast.
Yes,
So what was
that's
your
so
question you
true.
were going to ask there, Care?
Well, we kind of passed it up
Oh, did
now,
we? We were talking
but
about thankfulness. Yeah.
I was gonna just laugh at men want compliments, but like, why are they so awkward when you give them? Like, pretty. It's just the male gender. When you give them, they're you'll want a compliment from me, and I finally like look you in the eye, and I'm like, you did such a good job. I love that, and you get so awkward and like embarrassed.
Do you know why?
No, that's my
Yeah, me neither. So
question.
let's move on. Yeah, I don't. That is so true,
It's
though.
like a guy thing. It's
I
like they
hate
want
that
that praise, but then they're so embarrassed by
because it's like a kid. Like we're like, oh my word, thank you.
it.
That's so
Did
sweet."
you get my text today?
Me?
Yeah. I texted you after your sermon and said that was awesome,
Oh, I
baby.
did get that. Yep. I framed it. I printed it out.
Well, good job.
It's up on my wall now. No, it's very true. Very true. So first thing we want to be careful for is our attitude. Second,
Yeah.
we've got several points in this one, but second is our actions here.
Hmm.
And often one spouse or the other will act certain ways that really can breed resentment. And
Yeah.
so we want to talk about several of these, but a couple of them starting out here is giving the cold shoulder or ignoring your spouse
Mm.
really can become a problem
Yeah.
very quickly. And we talk about how you and I argue. We've given the illustration on our podcast, but to others before, we argue very differently, don't we?
Yeah. I'm definitely more like, I like to just hash it out in the moment, get it
Yeah.
all out, say everything you're thinking. Like, let's just make a big mess and then we'll clean it up. That's
So-
just how I am.
and yes,
And you are
and
not that way.
I am not.
He
am
likes to think
ve-
about it for like 72 hours.
I would like to say
And,
how,
and
Shh,
then,
woman, let me say how you got to do yours. Let me.
okay.
I'm just kidding. But you're right. I do not. Number one, I'm very private, so I do not like to argue in front of anyone. It doesn't matter. In fact, we often talk about, we hang around or have been, I should say, we have been around people where one spouse will correct the other
Oh my
spouse
goodness.
in front of people.
That is so embarrassing.
It's our pet peeve.
It is. No, I would never do that to you.
Yeah, yeah, it's just something I could not handle. That
Yeah.
if we were in a group and I'm saying something, and usually it's very, with a lot of people,
It's like dumb stuff.
yeah, it's very superficial. Like it just doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it wasn't on
and
Tuesday. It was on Friday. And we just stand there awkwardly like, okay, that didn't change the story, but
and it's
thank
the
you.
way they say it. Like you're so dumb. It wasn't on Tuesday of
Yeah.
2021. It was on Wednesday of 2022. Like who cares? Like oh my word. And then the other spouse always just stares at them like
Yeah.
just
This happens a lot. This
It
is why we're
does.
frustrated by it, because we see this so much in couples, and I feel like it's couples our age too.
That's
A
quite
lot of
often.
them.
Yes, so
A few
true.
older ones too, but where they are constantly correcting their spouse and in public, and it's like it doesn't stop correct. I mean, unless it's like vital information, but it never is.
Right.
It's always just embarrassing, like to that other spouse, and makes them look dumb, and then we sit there feeling so awkward. We're like,
Right.
oh, it's okay. You didn't mean it.
You feel sorry for the
You
person.
do.
Like, oh.
It's so awkward.
I will tell you this: if you do that and you have a problem with
Sorry.
correcting maybe your spouse, I think all of us need to realize, I'll preach to myself here for a moment.
Mhm.
You don't make yourself look good. I think
Yeah.
oftentimes it's like, I'm going to outsmart you. So I'm going to show everybody that I'm smarter.
And then
And
everybody feels sorry for that person
yeah,
that got corrected and thinks you're kind of a jerk.
right. Like I feel this needs to be said that we do not help ourselves
Yeah.
when we do this. And so this action of really, if you get in arguments, and every couple does, and you need to be careful in your actions that
Yeah.
you are not ignoring this your loved one. You are not giving them the cold shoulder. Carrie is more
Mhm.
like, which I think is probably better, but if we ever get in an argument, Carrie is the type, hey, let's talk about this. Let's get out in the open. Let's get it done
Mhm.
with. I'm the opposite. I'm not. I don't believe I ever have really lost my temper. I've never punched a wall or thrown a tool or just gotten so mad. But I do have anger in my own way, and that's just being very quiet, very
Mhm.
moody. What's wrong? Nothing. Like, and I know it drives you nuts, but it's kind of the way that I internalize
Yeah,
things. And
sure.
I'll tell you this: neither one are right. They
No.
both hurt your spouse in a
Yeah.
great way, and so it's not only your attitude, but oftentimes it's our actions we need to be careful for. A second that I would say, Kara, we could talk about tonight here is this, and that is devoting too much time to hobbies or interest or friends
Mm.
really results in very sore spots in the
Yeah.
home. Can you lean into that a little bit?
Yeah, making your spouse a priority should be your priority. Find something. I mean, here's the thing: when you get married, you change, right?
Right.
And I think old people always told us when we were getting married, oh, enjoy. They say that, no, they would be like, enjoy the honeymoon. After that, the first year's the hardest. Did you remember hearing that? I heard that a couple
Yeah,
times.
kind of like enjoy your first year. After that, it's all downhill.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Right.
I heard the first year was the hardest too at times, and
Yeah,
we didn't
that's
we
true.
didn't experience that. We had a great first year, but people say all kinds of things. But I will say this: your love does change because your circumstances change.
Mm-hmm.
I think people get married and expect that their love and their likes and dislikes and preferences are going to stay the same within that relationship, but it doesn't. You grow as a person and your
Mm-hmm.
circumstances change. You lose a job, you have children, or maybe you can't have children. You move away from family or you move near family. I mean, there's just a lot of things that when you're first in love and you're getting married, like those circumstances are not going to remain the same forever. Therefore, things and circumstances and trials and people will change you.
Mm-hmm.
It will change you. And I just hate when I hear people say, well, he's changed so much, or I've just changed in our marriage. Yes, of course you have. Of course you have.
Right.
We're humans. Everything changes us. Everything impacts us and molds us. And so you have to, in your mind, create this space of what I want to do first in my life is stay married. I want to stay with this person. I want to be with them.
That's good.
And we're both going to change. We're both going to, I remember it's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
My dad to this day thinks my mom's favorite candy bar is a Heath bar. And my mom was like,
what bar?
Heath, like the toffee and the chocolate Heath.
Oh, wow.
He
I don't know if
still,
I've ever even had a Heath bar.
to this day, thinks it's their favorite. And it's kind of a family joke now because like, we'll say like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? You know, all this. And if we ask dad, what's mom's favorite candy? He'll say Heath bar. And every time, it's been like 30 years now. And she'll be like, it's not my favorite anymore. But because when they first got married, it was her favorite. Like that's just so we tease him and he knows now, but it was such a funny family joke for so long that dad always thought like her favorite candy bar never changed. But it's just kind of a simplistic example of make it a priority to keep up with your spouse, keep up with their likes and dislikes and they're changing and what's molding them, and make that a priority in your life that, hey, we might be growing apart during this season, but I'm going to purposefully make a contact or have a date or do something special for my person.
Yeah.
You know.
So let's lean into this a little bit more. So if we're talking about actions and we say, okay, devoting too much time to hobbies,
Mm-hmm.
interest, and friends results, a negative attitude in the home.
Yeah.
So Yes, we all change, and yes, our priorities change, even our taste buds change. So, what about a spouse, a couple that is out here? They say, "Okay, look, Harry, my husband, it comes home and we spend 3 minutes together, and then he goes right downstairs and he turns on the TV and he plays
Mhm.
Xbox for the rest of the night."
Mhm.
Let's lean into that a little bit
Yeah.
because I feel like that's kind of where some of our questions are coming from our
Mhm.
listeners.
Mhm.
I get home, I want to see my wife, and she gives me a kiss on the cheek, and then goes right back to binge watching her Netflix show.
Mhm.
Or my husband's always at the golf course, or my wife is always on a phone call with her family, her sisters, and her mom. So let's
Mhm.
lean into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Our actions definitely can breed resentment, and I feel like some of our listeners, this is where they're at.
Mhm.
Their spouse is spending too much time doing something else.
Mhm.
What is our advice for that couple?
I can tell you what won't work, and that's badgering them about it.
Mm,
You should do this. You should do that. Putting expectations on someone of what they should or shouldn't do.
that's good.
And it's not that you can't be truthful and say that, but beating someone over the head with your expectations and what you want, they might do it, but they're not going to do it with the right heart and the right attitude, and you're not going to get what you want.
Yeah,
Even if they do it, they're going
that's
to
good.
resent you. They're going to find ways to do what they want, and then it's going to be just become this tension. So, I think what does work is you find something that they're interested in, and you start doing that without them.
Mm,
For instance, if your husband loves to play, tennis or golf or something like that, um, you make a tea time and you say, "Oh, I can't do that because I'm going golfing on Monday." What, you're going? And get him interested in something that you're doing, and it might feel like, well, that's kind of a lot of work for me to do but that's what we do when we're dating. When you're
mm,
dating someone, you're willing to do things you necessarily wouldn't do on your own just to be with that person.
right.
And so to do that when you're married, that shouldn't really be a sacrifice.
Mm,
I remember lots of times in West Virginia, I would just, without even telling you, load the kids up and go to the park. We'd go for ice cream, and I just have a fun and interesting life on my own. And then eventually you would start, texting, "Hey, where are you?" "Oh, we're at ice cream, me and the kids." "Oh, I'm going to come meet you." And so it wasn't me sitting at home saying, "Why don't you come home and play with us and take us to the park and get ice cream?" And, you know, kind of beating you over the head with what you should be
right.
doing.
Mm,
It was me just living a happy and fun life, and then you wanting to join in, and then you would do the same. "Oh, hey, I'm going to go do this or that at the ministry. Would you like to come?" And
yeah,
inviting me to something
that's
that's
good.
interesting. And so I wanted to be a part of your life
Hmm.
because it was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'd like to go to that conference or whatever."
Right.
And so be an interesting and fun person on your own. Make a life that's interesting and beautiful and exciting, and your spouse will want to join you.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
will not want to join someone who is critical and mad and always telling them what they should or shouldn't do. But they will want to join someone who's fun and exciting and just living life to the fullest.
Okay, I think you hit it. Just you said it so well, so perfectly. I think the first thing for this couple is communicate and communicate in the right way. We always, as humans, we wait until it's almost too late. We
Yeah,
let it
so
build up.
true.
We're so mad, and then we explode. And instead of communicating, well, we come in very accusatorily in a way that um, it's actually kind of mean. Like,
Hmm.
you never spend time with me. You never do this. Never,
Yeah.
never, never, never. And some of it's very exaggerated. And instead of when it started, communicating, "Hey, I'd love that you get to do this and you're catching up on your Netflix show," or I'm going to speak on the guy side.
Hmm.
I'm glad that you spend a lot of time, talking to mom and,
Hmm.
sisters. But here's how I like to communicate. I like some time too.
Hmm.
And so if you do that, maybe on Tuesdays, that will be our date night, like we talked about in our last episode, where we
Yeah.
can go out and hang out. And it's first of all, communication is so key.
Yeah.
You say, "Well, it's too late now." I mean, I don't ever see my husband, I don't ever see my wife. Well, you got to step in somewhere.
Hmm.
And it might be even far enough where you need to involve a third party, get your a counselor involved or a mentor involved. I wouldn't involve friends like, dude, don't go out and get your golfing buddy and be like, hey, can you sit in this? That's not going to go well. And
Yeah.
then, for the wife out there, don't go grab your mom, his mother-in-law, and then, hey, let's sit down. It's not going to go well, but you want to communicate. And if it's gone too far, grab a counselor and come in. Let's talk about this. Number 2 really is participate. And I think so oftentimes we in our marriages are building marriages that are very separate.
Yeah.
We have separate families, separate bank accounts, separate offices. It used to be like families just had a house. I have to be honest, my dad never had a man cave, and my mom never had like this is my room and my.
It's like
it
a
was-
she shed now. They're calling it
Say it again.
a she shed. They do a
She shed.
shed
By the
in
seashore.
the backyard, and they decorate it really cute, and they call it a she shed. It's a thing. It's a sad world we live in.
But do you see what I'm getting
Yes,
at?
I
Look
love
how
that.
much
That's so
we
true.
are.
It's ridiculous.
We're building separate lives. And I can't tell you how many countless hours Carrie and I
Yeah.
have counseled folks that they're mad at each other because I don't. Excuse me. I don't get me time. I need girl time. I need guy time. I just need alone time. Like I'm just getting a little passionate here, but I'll just say
I
this.
love it.
You married, you said I do, you're best friends, 2 became 1, period, over. Look, it's not game over, it's game on. It's not, oh, that's the end of my life. No, stop listening to Hollywood
Yes.
and get together and love each other. And so, first of all, communicate. Number 2, participate.
Yeah.
This is both of you finding things that you both love. And even if you don't completely love it, like Carrie said, I've said it before, Carrie would go golfing with me. She wouldn't golf, but she'd just jump in the cart. I'll go shopping with her. She hates to drive, so I would just literally
do.
drive her there, follow her around. I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset. I didn't sit on my cell phone. We just communicated. She would
Yeah.
shop. We would talk. What are we doing? We're participating in each other's lives.
Yes.
Find a moment. Find, she or he, they're always watching a show. Okay. Find a show you both like together.
Yeah.
If it's your kind of binge world and just kind of check out for a little while, that's your thing, then do your thing, but do it together.
Yeah.
I'm in one room, she's in the other. They have their show. Y'all, we have to start building our lives together. And
Yeah,
so
that's so
be
good.
careful with these hobbies and these interests. And I'm just going to put it out there, Karen,
Oh,
say
no.
this. No, this
Oh,
is not
no,
against
what?
us. This is for us. Since we're getting a little passionate here. I think we do as married couples need to be very careful about friends that get in the middle of our marriages.
Absolutely.
It can hurt. Can it not? To a
Oh,
woman,
yeah.
does it hurt?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't have, I think there's a loss of respect there. If you have a husband that's so obsessed with like little boy things, like there's nothing wrong with gaming. But as a grown man, if like that's your life and you're having your friends over and you're gaming all the time, I can't see any woman respecting that. Again, I mean, within
Sure. I
within
get it.
balance.
Right.
Like some is okay. But I'm talking about a guy like that's his life and every
Right,
minute and
right.
that's his thing. And that goes not just gaming, like anything a guy becomes obsessed with. A woman knows when she's, not a priority and not thought of. And it's really hard for women to respect a man when he's completely invested in something else and it's kind of superficial,
Yeah.
you know?
And we need to be careful in all of our marriages. Remember, who you marry needs to be number one. That's it. It is not guys for us. It's not, well, it's my buddy. It's, this is my basketball buddy. We've been friends for years. I've got friends that I've had for years. But let me tell you, when I said I do, those friends became second. My wife, outside of God, my wife is always number one. We have a church and, we have a lot of people, a lot of members in our church, hundreds. They all come behind my wife. She is number one. And for the ladies out there, let me just kind of speak into this as well. The husband wants to be number one in your life. He does. I'm telling you as a guy, nothing thrills us more than the attention that you get from your spouse. And a lot of times I think women, if we're not careful, you're not careful, you can make the mistake of putting kids.
Oh,
That
yes.
they will fill a void
hmm
that your husband is supposed to be filling, and Caroline into that, because I don't believe that's healthy.
Right. It's not. And women do. It's really hard because you have these children and you just feel this great responsibility towards them.
Mm,
And they do. They do kind of gather that attention and that time in an extreme way. And it's hard as a mother to pull back from that and to say no. Um, because in our minds, we're thinking
mm,
like, good grief, why do you need me too? And you should understand that I have to take care of the kids. Like, I know that's how women think. I've thought that before too. The problem is, you didn't get married and then get divorced as soon as the babies came. It's not like, okay,
right,
now
right.
now you're just a provider and leave us alone and we'll let me run the house and do everything. That's sometimes how it goes.
Mm,
And we have to look at our husband's needs not as, oh, he's needing me. Ugh, why does someone else need me? That's an incorrect way to look at
mhm,
it.
mhm.
You have to look at it as, I need to make an investment in someone who is taking care of my children. Like,
Mm,
filling his need and being there for him is being there for your children.
right.
That's the greatest thing you can do for them to see mom and dad taking care of one another and loving one another and having a healthy marriage and a healthy home. There is nothing greater. There is not a gift beyond pointing your children to Jesus. After that, I firmly believe showing your children a healthy marriage and telling them no, saying, Dad and I are having a time. How many times we do that to our kids? We'll just be in our room, and we finally got a TV in there, and that was probably not the best idea. It was my idea. And we'll just be in there for
Get
like
out, kids.
2 hours watching a show, and they're like knocking on the door. We're like, go away. We're having a date. Poor kids.
They're gonna figure it out
They're
one day.
like,
Like,
we want breakfast.
like it's only 2 p.m. Get out of here.
We're so mean. But
You're
we
8
ne-
years old. Go
we
figure
never
it out for
did that
yourself.
before the TV came in our room. Like, if we were just watching TV downstairs, we just hop up and make them breakfast. And now we're like, get out. So mean. Oh, it cracks me up. But honestly, they're fine. They're fine. I think kids seeing that and seeing us laughing together and having a show or we'll sometimes sit outside and read books together. And, can we go on a bike ride? Can you take us to ice cream? And we're like, no, this is our time. We're reading books together, And so that's healthy. Moms, don't give that up.
Yeah,
Do not give
so
that
true.
up. Still invest in your husband. You might feel like, I'm too tired. I'm just another person needs me. But I'm telling you, if you invest in him and give him that time and give him that space to be a husband, he will reciprocate in time, in kind. He will come back with help and love and care for your kids because he feels like you're a team.
Yes.
But if you push him away and ignore him, do you not feel isolated?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that would just feel like,
It's not
okay,
healthy, right?
yeah,
And we've spoken into it on the previous episodes that at some point those kids are not in your house forever.
yes,
And
that's so
that's where
true.
we're finding a lot of these parents that actually just a little bit older than Carrie and I, that these kids are leaving the house, they're heading to college, and then these marriages are breaking up.
hmm
Even in the Christian realm, a lot of divorces are taking place. And I'll tell you why, the priorities were wrong.
So true.
They had them mixed up. And so, again, it goes back to friends, family, doesn't matter, even kids.
hmm
Don't let anyone get in the way of your relationship.
Yes.
You said I do. And again, that person
hmm
now is number one.
Yeah.
And if you put that person first, again, communication and then just participation of
hmm
dive in that person's life,
Yeah.
being resentful, giving the cold shoulder, being upset, and or even taking your spouse
hmm
for granted really can hurt them.
Yeah.
And so these really are, we're going to have to continue this next week because we dive into this next section.
Yeah.
I love this next section.
What is the next one?
I don't want to.
You don't want to give it away?
But it's actually myths in your marriage that are going to hurt, and we've always heard these things. But
Mm,
actually, the longer Carrie and I have been in it, now we're starting to teach these more and more. That
mhm.
there are these myths out there in our realm that really can hurt us, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Kara, everybody tuned in. What's our homework for this week? We didn't write this down. I'm putting you on the spot big
yes.
time. Name one thing for, let's say, the women.
Okay.
One thing for the women. Those of you who are listening, what can we work on this week?
Compliment your husband at least once every day this week.
No.
I didn't say this is not my homework though.
Yeah, goody. Well, we can end right there.
I got mine in today. I text you.
You did.
I would say that would be a good start.
It's now 10:30, so now another hour and a half. I get another one.
You gonna wake me up at midnight?
100% I am. I cannot wait.
Don't make me laugh. It makes me cough.
That's a great one. That's so good.
Yeah. What about the men? What about the men?
I think we're pretty good, guys.
You better have something. You better bring something to the table.
We are. We're good to go.
You know what I want this week? You only have to do one thing the whole week.
Okay.
Bring me one of those drinks from Seven Brew. That coconut drink I like.
Oh, yeah.
The large one.
Girl, that's too expensive. Let's do something else. Try another one.
I said only one for the week.
I think we could get away with that for sure. For sure.
I love that.
Guys, for us, it is this. Make time for your wife.
Love it.
Put the golf clubs away for a little bit. You don't need to go to the gym. Even when she thinks you're leaving, you know what? Throw the keys on the counter and grab her hand and go take her on a date. Or, you know what? I'm not going to do this tonight. I'm just going to put time into our marriage.
I love that.
And I think
that's good.
I think we're going to be getting some emails, Carrie, of some couples that are really into this.
I think so too. And I wanted to comment from last week really quickly. We talked about date nights, and I did have a lady write in and with such a great idea. She said when our kids were little, they used to trade date nights with another couple. So they would babysit for free so that couple could go out. And then the next week that couple would babysit their kids for free. So if you're on a budget and you're like, I have, 4 kids and it's really hard to pay someone well, find another couple that also has kids and trade for free. Then you never have to pay a babysitter.
Wow.
It kind of grows those relationships too. And then another lady wrote in and said, it would be helpful to get someone if you have a special needs child. Find a babysitter that, like another couple that also has special needs children, and be careful of that. That way, when you go on a date, you're not stressed and worried about your child because you know that person knows how to take care of them.
Yes.
So I thought those were both really great tips from last week.
Really good.
Yeah, I really like that. So shout out to the pastor's wife in Michigan that wrote me those. Thank you so much.
It's really good. It's really good. I didn't hear anything from the guys.
So guys wrote in?
No, they did. They were like, you're an idiot. Why are you telling our wife to do that? This is not just joking.
I actually had another one from a local lady. I can't remember. I should have written it down though. It was really good. I'll have to put it on the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yes.
That text
she wrote both of us.
Yeah. What was that about?
I don't know.
I can look it up real quick, or we can do it on the next one.
We'll hit on the next one.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah. But write in. We want to hear your thoughts.
That's it.
And we will mention them on here because
Forward
we
podcast
appreciate that.
Outlook.com.
Yep.
And appreciate all the viewership, all the feedback. It's been tremendous. The show is growing.
Yeah.
And it's only because of listeners like you. So hope you have a great week.
Bye.